Welcome everyone to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner Bryan, senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. And today I get the opportunity to sit down with Michael Popchuk, the co-founder of Pragmatic DLT and an entrepreneur here that just excited to learn a little bit more about your journey, what led you to where you're at today, some ups and downs, all of the things that come along with this
Um,
crazy journey that we call business ownership. So Michael, welcome, and I'm going to kick it over to you. Why don't you share just a little bit about your background and a little bit about your business?
sure. I appreciate that. I'm Michael, 34. I started my first business in 2007. Built more than 50 websites, I guess, from small businesses to national railroad operator. It was like a digital agency. Something like this. Basically, as an engineer and IT entrepreneur in the university. Then I launched a few startups, but being pretty young, I did a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately, learned from them. So in time, I transitioned to management consulting. As a consultant, I led digital transformations in the world's biggest companies in fintech, in entertainment domains. So each digital transformation was a journey. It helped customers structure their R&D, increase the speed of production, transparency, quality of deliverables, things like that. So yeah. Once I was on a huge challenge. It was an amazing company, like 300 people, growing super fast. And this growth was actually because of their challenge. Their business was becoming of a corporation sized, while in heart, they were still the startup, running fast and lean, not always clear when something would be done. Everyone was doing the best, working stretched hours, things like that to startup. So as a consultants, we help them to structure the way that allowed them to continue growth. And in 3 years, they grew 5 times and merged with DraftKings, forming the IPO. So it was big. It was very interesting. We processed like million bets a minute. It was on a technical edge because we had 2 seconds to deliver the odds update from the time when Ronaldo touched the ball on the field, and through the fraud detection and all the different odds calculations, and up to the screen of the guy on the stadium who can like bet straight for it. So yeah, we achieved all major certifications in the EU. It was a very interesting journey. I got amazing experience. However, as this times became calmer, so we already built that, I had to find another challenge. So with this, I joined to again start my business. It was 2018, the year of ICO booms, if you remember. The distributed ledger technologies, which is
Mhm.
blockchain, were on the rise. So it literally blew my mind how novel and simple it was to just distribute the ownership for each peer in the network, and how many things can be done with that.
Mhm.
So I jumped on it. And being from Ukraine, I have a big experience doing like development outsourcing business. And from my experience in consulting, I obtained the best possible knowledge on how to structure the IT products requirements and do it literally on the fly. So, I mean, this is the consultant's challenge to do it on the fly. And in consulting, we came up with an idea of a service product where we helped customers that had an idea with a 2-day session to capture it, boil it down to the essence, test it against like tech limitations, structure the requirements, and even estimate it within 2 days. I mean, for the technical products, that's quite a challenge. So basically, in fact, how it works is in 2 days, anyone having an idea can walk in, work with us, and come out with the detailed requirements and having a clear plan how to test and launch MVP of his idea within the next 2 months. So, and of course, we come handy to develop that idea afterwards. So our tagline now is we can help you to build an MVP of your idea on blockchain within the 2 months. This is what we do now,
Wow, that's
more
really
or
cool.
less.
That is very cool. So I want to circle back. You had made kind of some notes on kind of your journey as you went through having a couple startups, making some mistakes, that sort of thing. Now, yeah, I don't think I've had a single person yet tell me that they've had a perfect, perfectly linear, always positive journey when it
Yeah.
comes to business ownership, entrepreneurship, anything in that realm. So I'd love to kind of dive into that a little bit. If you'd be willing to share a little bit of kind of what the journey into maybe those first couple startups and making some mistakes and some of the lessons that you learned along the way.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I mean, I can talk a lot about that, but trying to condense. The biggest mistakes, I'd say, were, and this is where the biggest learning, I would say, is coming for me about the startups and about the business in general, that you need to test everything. So you need to test first. I think every entrepreneur has a delusion that they have they like have an idea, and this is a brilliant idea that would be working amazingly. They have a vision of the product or for the advertising, so they have all the answers. And don't get me wrong, I mean, this is a requirement. This is something that entrepreneur should have. But what's happening next is what really matters. So, I mean, my mistakes came from the fact that I had that vision and idea, rush into implementing it. I was like, yeah, these are the requirements. This is what we need to do. And we see it, and we're doing it for half a year or something, and then released, and then we had some challenges with it. So, for example, again, we were launching a marketplace for the printing services, and yeah, I mean, this is a huge challenge on how you and how you deploy that and how you advertise that, because you simultaneously need to acquire demand and supply. And if there is any inconsistencies or imbalance, then it just ruins the whole idea. So we made huge mistakes there in the way how we advertised and how we in general even approach that. And I believe a lot of mistakes like that uh, could be uh, could be prevented if we'll test. If we'll have that, natural curiosity, like kids. I have 3 years old, and all these 3 years, I'm learning from parents and daughter. They want to try everything. They want to try to break things, try to how this thing flows. Oh, I'll see. So they're very curious, and I think this is one of the best characteristics might be for an entrepreneur also, to be curious about. Okay, so do you how do you really have that challenge? Do you really have that problem? I mean, to come to, for example, that again, printing houses, they had a problem, but it turned out that the customers, we had the biggest, it was in Kiev. I'm originally from Ukraine, so it was in Kiev when we launched and deployed that idea. And I think we have all the biggest malls trying us, piloting. But the problem is that although the idea sound compelling, there were details that didn't allow them to really work on that. So they switched to their usual way of working, and we could find it earlier if we would be more curious and would be more talking to them. I guess this is the biggest learning from that times.
That is that is some very impactful learnings. Uh, is there any so taking those lessons and implementing them into kind of your current journey and where you're at today? Um, has there been any kind of hurdles or roadblocks you've had to overcome in implementing those learnings, or kind of how has that process looked?
I think it's less of an issue compared to the startup, because startup is more like you need to build something, and then you present it to the public, trying to sell it to or market. And now we're more doing a service, so it's less of an issue, especially that I'm since 2007 I have experience in these things, so I know exactly how the business works. And I mean, it's less of a guesswork. It's a lot of things I really know, although the technology is very new. So you may be watching this blockchain stuff up and down, and a lot of people are disappointed when the price of the coin goes down, and started to disregard the technology and la la la. So we had to adjust, and that was a big challenge. But yeah, this is what we are learning now, I'd say.
Beautiful. So I'm curious, I always like to kind of dive into where possible on the reasons why going into business for yourself. There's uh, hundreds of different reasons when you ask 100 different people on kind of their reasons for getting into entrepreneurship or starting a business or
Mhm.
anything else like that. But I'd love if you're willing to kind of share what are kind of the core reasons that that led you to this path, that making this decision to go into business for yourself in any way, shape, or form versus the alternative, which is finding something that aligns with your values and working for somebody else.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a very good question. Um, I like to build things. I mean, this is my passion, I'd say. I like to build things, and I think this is one of the most basically powerful things of humans, to imagine something and to build it in reality. And this is like my passion. I can stand that. If I have an idea that, wow, let us try to do that. And I can really go and do. And this is, I mean, I can stand that. So I think in employment, and I was employed, as I said, like with Jobkins and stuff and consulting. It was very flexible, and there were amazing companies, but there's still some limitations that it needs to be aligned more with like companies' journey in general. And I mean, at some point, you are very close to that. At some point, you're a bit distant. So it's ups and downs in this regard, and does not always allow to build whatever you have in mind. And for this, I found like this current like business that I have is very interesting with regards to the fact that I can help customers to like boil idea down to the essence and try to build that. And that's very quick. In 2 months, we can see something in production. I mean, it's very appealing to the customers when we come and say, hey, like whatever you have in mind, just this is the box. In 2 months, it would be there on the orbit. Let us do it together. I mean, whatever you have in mind, just put it there, and we'll help you to simplify, to cut everything unnecessary, because we have a limitation. 2 months. In 2 months, that's it. That's on the orbit. So we need to do something with it. So we're working on that idea together. Like I love to give a good example about Uber. Like for example, we all know Uber. What is that, right? It's an application and they revolutionize transportation. But what is their pitch? What is really was that they are selling, like the problem that they were attacking. It was, they were saying that they allow to call a cab within 5 minutes from literally everywhere. So
Mm.
there was nothing about technology. It was not about the application or how it looks, or is it black and white or red and yellow. I mean, nobody really cared. It was about the job that they helped to close. So it can be an application, it can be a chatbot. If they would come to us and say, hey, this is what we want to do, and you help us doing it, we'll brainstorm together, we'll estimate and say, oh, application really it's not something we can do in 2 months, but we can do a chatbot for you. Let it be a WhatsApp. You'll just drop your location, and like in 5 minutes, this is how we'll do it. We'll navigate a driver to you, the closest driver, like for example. So I mean, this is super inspiring. This is, I mean, what wakes me up in the morning.
Oh, that's exciting, because that's exactly kind of where my next question was going to be, is as we look towards the future, what is most exciting to you? What's most exciting about kind of where this industry is going, where your business is going? If you would, stay kind of on that theme and share with me a little bit more about kind of really what gets you excited about where things are headed.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, I'm so excited about how the technology is evolving now. So I was basically witnessing the internet like establishing, right? So I'm like 34. So when I was young, like school and stuff, it was just about internet being started, and you've seen all these great things being built, and they're very accessible and it's very easy and la la la. And now we're in a position that it might seem that okay, a lot of great things already built. So I mean, not so many, no, not so much good ideas around. But blockchain and AI are technologies that are at the same age, I would say, as like internet when I was in school. So
Mm,
again, people are watching these ups and downs, and they're like, "Oh, coin is dead, so Bitcoin is dead." No, I mean that's a joke. I'm being inside the technology. I see that it's in such an early stage, and so many cool things are being built right now, and we even could not imagine how would it revolutionize where we are. Like, how could we imagine that iPhone would revolutionize this much, or how we interact, how we like,
mm.
live in every day of our life? This would happen to the blockchain, I promise you. So like I'm excited to see the next wave. I would bet that it would be identity management. So I know big companies already working on this. Block being one of them, which was Square, one of the like most successful e-commerce and payment companies in the US. They're now switching, and Jack Dorsey personally is leading that block. As far as I know, they're working again on digital identity. Would be whole different stories, like your passport, and you can work a lot, very convenient with it. So I'm very excited to see how it unfolds. Now this Chat GPT, well, have you played with it? With the Chat GPT?
No, no.
Oh, that's amazing. That's inspiring to see that, like artificial intelligence in its best.
Ugh. It is really cool. I've got to say that the more that I ask questions like this and get to hear the insights of those that have more knowledge than I, it is pretty exciting for the things that can be built here in the next
Mm,
several years. So it is really cool. Well, I want to be respectful of time, and yeah, I've got kind of
sure.
my one final question for you, which I think still just builds on kind of what we've been talking about here. But before we jump into that final question, um, Michael, where can our audience go to find out more information about your business, about you, to follow you, anything like that? What's the best way to be in contact?
Yeah, so I'm available at LinkedIn. I always answer. Full profile there. We have website. We have Twitter. I mean, yeah, something like this. So if you'd ever think of any idea, like, and we try to help not only startups, like startup founders in the classical sense. Obviously, this is one of our main audience, but basically another big audience for us is the guys who are working in a big enterprise and they have some ideas of spin-off. I mean, not even personal as a company. Usually, the company's resources are overloaded, and they have roadmaps, and they have like backlogs, and it's very tight. I mean, I was there. I know how it works. But if you have an idea and you just want to try it, you know that that might be done in 2 months. Just come to us. If anything related to blockchain, just Google Pragmatic DLT is the name of our company, and yeah, this is how we would be happy to help.
Beautiful. I love it. For those that are watching, I will put as much of this contact information in the video description below. So make sure you take a look at it all. But Michael,
I appreciate
let's
that.
kind of finish on one kind of final question that I always like to end these interviews on here, and that's what's most inspiring to you today, or what inspires you to continue to do what you do?
The power of that technology. So I was basically already elaborating more about this, and I can talk even more about that. But I really believe that we would be living in a whole different world in like 5 years, 10 years. Now this all is only accelerating. Now machine learning enabling generative AI that can like really already build something else. If you go to the Chat GPT now, for example, this is something released by OpenAI. They're genius. You can like just literally write whatever you want, and they can translate it to the code. I mean, that's not as simple as this, but I mean, there are obviously limitations, but this is a technology and it's been evolving. And together with decentralization, I believe that's going to be something very, very big, and we'll like wake up in a whole different world in 5 years. And I want to be one building it.
Beautiful. Michael, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I so much appreciate you taking the time to share your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, your journey, and let's see a little bit on what you're working on and where things are headed. So thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, it was a big pleasure, and thank you for doing that.
Of course.